Thank you for joining us on Overcoming the Objections in the Ministry. And so our focus is to overcome challenges or questions that you may approach in the ministry. And so one of the questions that are based on the news headlines and top trending information is the fact of mass shootings and a number of gun violence fatalities. And it seems to be indiscriminate the way it has happened. And so one of the questions people are asking is this the time of the end? And so when you hear these questions, I know it might be prompt you to answer the questions, go to the scriptures where you find it. In Matthew chapter 24. And that would be apropos, but I want you to get into the hearts and minds of the individual that you are talking to address the issue. Or else you won't be able to help them deal with the situation that they're going to be dealing with, or the aftermath that they're dealing with. It takes a very long time to heal when it comes to sexual violence, gun homicide violence. You know, it takes a long time to heal with any types of violence. And so it's important to get into hearts and minds so that you can help the individual cope and find better coping mechanism when dealing with what has visited upon their lives, or what they're experiencing. So it's important. And here's why it's important. Because you can miss this. So important. And this happened. It so happened that this happened in the Tribune, a Texas Tribune, where a woman was stating that there's been a lot of violence towards women. You know, a lot of gun violence towards women. And it turns out that she was in a relationship with someone who then turned a firearm against her. She was just recently being interviewed. So if someone who talking in passing can make a statement like there's a lot of violence towards women, or a lot of gun violence towards women, take that opportunity to probe deeper. You never know. This person could still be here today. All right? They may take action to leave the relationship. They may take action to change phone numbers, change address, phase this individual out. They may take action, or they may choose not to take any action at all until they get into safety. So these are the options people have. But in order to get to that point, you have to ask the probing questions. So since these are real life issues, you're going to have to pray. You're going to have to stop yourself from answering the notable obvious answer. You're going to have to stop yourself. And you're going to have to listen to the individual. Don't listen to their words only. I want you to listen to their body language. What are their body language saying? How are they standing? What are their words really saying? You know, is there undertones in their voice? Are they emotional? Are they separated from what they're saying, from what they're experiencing? Even though what they're experiencing is very traumatic. are they separate from it? Have they dissociated themselves from what they experience and what they're actually saying? So these are clues to let you know that you need to dig deep, and I want you to dig deep and help them along in the scriptures, but you can only do that if they allowed you to do so. They give you that opening. So the purpose of overcoming the objections is to find the opening. They gave you the question, or maybe you posed the question in the ministry, will gun violence always be with us? That's the opening question you can ask for someone who's standing on the bus stop or on the subway, or someone just waiting on a school bus for school, because that it's indiscriminate. It affects everyone, and they'll let you know, oh, my friend or my friend of a friend lost his life to someone shooting him on the street, or my girlfriend lost their lives to a boyfriend who had access to a firearm. So what are your questions when someone states something to the effect when regards to gun violence, without being so removed from the situation that you don't know how to proceed? So state the obvious. Listening to what they're saying, listening to their body language, state the obvious, bring it to the forefront, but not so much that they're not able to hold back their emotions so that they can not deal with the day, but enough for them to be hopeful and look forward to your conversation later. So what's your next step when someone relates something like that? The first obvious question is, man, I really feel for you that this has happened to you. And from someone who reads the text on a regular basis, this wasn't God's plan. And be totally sincere about it. This wasn't God's plan. God's plan was that everyone should live in according to knowledge and to do what is right, and so that everyone would live in peace. And so once you say that, it's going to prompt someone to say, is that for real? Is that true? And then show them the scriptures. You can show them several scriptures at this point. You can share with them Isaiah 47, verse 17 and 18. You can share with them Isaiah 54, verse 1. You can share with them Isaiah 56, verse 1. And you can also share with them, John 3:16, but just share with them with one scripture to get them thinking, if it wasn't supposed to be this way, the next question is, why is it? And that is because people need to know what to do is right. And the only way they need to know what to do is right is look in the text. Have you ever know what it means to do was right in the text? And that person may say, well, we're not much Bible readers, and ask them, are you willing to at least find out what the general requirements is in the text, so just to know what to do was right. to practice justice in Jeremiah. You can show them scriptures in Jeremiah in regards to justice and how God is searching for those who are searching for him. I mean, that is very profound when you look in Jeremiah and find out that God is looking for those who are looking for a job. So keep that in mind, because these are, Jeremiah chapter 5. So we're going to turn to two scriptures where we started off in our conversation with gun violence. But I need you to bring the individual into a point where they can make a decision, not make a decision, but come to the point where there's something in the text that they need to uncover so that, they can make better decisions when it comes to gun violence. Whether, and you can even ask them, do you know people who have firearms around you? And you can just bring it straight, lay it down on the line. People who are around firearms are more likely to be killed than those who are not by firearms. Because we see in the news, young child killing mom, and they can be as old as 2 months, 3 months, years old. So, and then they can be as old as 14. Brothers and sisters killing each other with a firearm because the firearm was out in the open. So they know what the statistics are. You're just gently reminding them and letting them know, would you like to know how God feels about this in this stream of time? So if they say yes and they're amenable, and now here's the point, because this person may be a young individual or a young individual in college. You may have to ask a parent's permission to continue this dialogue once it's over. So just be honest. If the person is young but still interested in learning more, let them know that I'm going to have to get your parents' permission to continue this conversation either on the phone, text, Zoom, or FaceTime. And it's just going to take like 15-20 minutes, and keep your time. Make sure it's only 15-20 minutes. Mind you, they may start to blow you off, or they may invite other people into the conversation with them. They may even invite their parent to sit in. That's very encouraging. But these are the conversation starters that you need to have in the ministry, or else you're missing it. So I know people like to sit down and get comfortable and maybe have a little bit of a sheet of pamphlet or a piece of paper with some scriptures. You are the scriptures. So I want you to speak. You're only giving your card with your Gmail, Google Voice number after you establish contact and a time in which you're going to be meeting with. Other than that, you're laying down your seats. But you missed the boat, because everyone on a bus stop or a dog park or who are riding their bikes are dealing with issues. And they're coming across and rubbing shoulders with people dealing with issues. So it's a missed opportunity if you don't open your mouth and say something. You're not invading their space. You're actually helping them to come to a conclusion of something that they've been wrestling with for some time. And bottom line, before you start out in your ministry, pray that your message is well received and that you have an opportunity to lay down some seeds every single time you get out. I find that I've done this. It works. It works. I'm always finding someone to talk to. I'm always finding someone to lay down seeds so that next time someone else says, yeah, I just met someone who just said the same thing. I can't believe it. You help someone else lay down that foundation and establish it. So you may not get the opportunity to give your card with your contact information, but you may have been able to set the foundation for someone else to have that deeper discussion. Okay? So keep that in mind. So it's important to speak and get uncomfortable, because in the times that we're living in, So with that said, we need to establish the fact that Ja'ala is searching for those who are searching for him. And the only way to set up those parameters where someone is searching for someone is through the text. And ask them, how do you think someone's going to search for someone they don't know? And they'll say, well, I don't know, the internet, the text. And then you just show them your tablet with the text, or your actual Bible, which is a text, and point them out to the scripture in Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 1. Go roving about in the streets of Jerusalem and see now and know and seek for yourselves in her public squares whether you can find a man, whether there exists anyone doing justice, anyone seeking faithfulness, and I shall forgive her. You can leave it right there. If you'd like to know more of what this scripture means, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. Would you like my contact information? We can spend like 5 or 10 minutes on the phone and then move on from there. That individual will actually say yes, no, busy, I don't know. But let them explain to them in their own words, have them explain in their own words what this text is saying. More than likely, they'll just repeat what you just said, that God is actually looking for someone who's searching for them, and if they do what they're doing was right, then they'll be forgiven. It looks like that to me. And you will respond, well, how would they know to do what is right in order to be forgiven? They're going to shrug their shoulders. Well, how are you going to know what's right unless you don't read this text to see what God stands on different issues, on different topics, including gun violence? So bring that issue up. And if you want to delve into Matthew chapter 24, go ahead, because it reads just like a news bulletin. If you want to tag it in, if you have time. But in order to know what is required, these individuals in Matthew 24, we don't know what happened in their lives. Just like we don't know that those who are taken indiscriminately through gun violence, we don't know what their spiritual lives were like. Some of them, right? Some of your friends, whether they're doing right or they're doing wrong. They may laugh, But all that counts. Young people counts when it comes to standing up firm for what is right in Jah Allah's eye, because they're judged too. Young people are not free from judgment just because they're young, because we see young people, and you can bring it up. We have young people as young as 12 who hear the words of Jah in the text and know they're not doing right. Ask them, do you agree? And they will say yes, or they will say no. Are you one of them? Are you doing right? And they'll say, well, not all the time. Well, sometimes I do. So, and just assure them, you're not putting them out. It's just when you know, be for sure if you're following along the scriptures the way you should based on your text. And they will agree. So if they are agreeable, and if they're a minor, get their parental consent. Let them know it's okay. In fact, the first Zoom meeting, have them sit with their parents on the first Zoom meeting and be prepared to sit with having a talk that addresses, both issues. And make sure that you're getting the issues of the mom or dad and getting the issue of the child there as you are steadily praying, listening, discerning, paying attention to body language, tone of voice, and stuff. So if you are legally blind or you are blind, you're going to be paying attention on tremor of voice. You're paying attention to shifting of body movements. You can sense that if they're shifting their weight from one side to another, letting you know if they're uncomfortable, letting you know that they're not willing to open up. These are your cues. Letting you know if their voice change. These are your cues if you have no visual cues. So this lets you know to hone in when to move forward, when to hold back, in your discussion. So just some tips out there in the ministry, and if you like, I said it again, if you have if you have a companion, an animal companion who's used and who is amenable to you in the ministry, go ahead. They're perfect icebreakers. As long as they're well behaved, they can really assist you, particularly breaking down barriers, and you can have a collar where you can hold some of your pamphlets in the collar of your companion, so it's at reach when you're juggling a tablet and showing the party your scripture from the tablet. So just an FYI, to help you out in the ministry, to get you out and being forward, particularly if you're in a dog park, that works. Because everyone has their own dog. Just make sure that your dog or companion, pet animal is trained, despite the animals that are surrounding them, that they're well behaved. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are in the ministry. So I want to thank you for taking the time